FEMA has really let us down, let the country down, and I don't know if that's Biden's fault or whose fault it is, but we're going to take over and we're going to do a good job. We're putting America first. We're putting, in this case, North Carolina and California. We're going to do a good job in California.
A commander-in-chief who puts America first. This is the Will Cain Show, live from the Heartland. Right now, President Trump is on his way to Los Angeles, where fires are still burning. This after visiting victims of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina.
There's about 8 bodies in our area that first 2 weeks located. And we were lucky we weren't one of them and blessed. But like other people, no insurance on flood insurance, so we had to depend on FEMA. They did what they could do, and of course it's not enough.
It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going. But since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things.
I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. Can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten.
These are Americans. These are voices that you would hear, not just in North Carolina, but in East Palestine, Ohio, in Maui, Hawaii, and now in Southern California. And you can hear the pain. You can hear the demand for something more from their government. That brings me to my big three. Number one, Americans have a right to expect the minimum from their government. Politico puts it this way: when it comes to accountability and keeping politicians accountable for what they do or do not do for Americans, Republicans keep mining the forest management vein because they have a point. Academic commissions convened by both the Newsom and Biden administrations agree that a century of aggressively beating back fires that can keep vegetation in check and forests healthy, including eliminating indigenous-controlled burns, has led to a tinderbox in California and across the West. This is about planning for what is an inevitable disaster. It burns every 3 to 4 years in Southern California, as has been famously pointed out by Adam Carolla. If you know a crisis is coming, you should be able to prepare for the crisis, but not if your priorities are placed somewhere else, like, as President Trump ingeniously pointed out, the Delta smelt.
It's to protect the Delta smelt. It's a fish that's doing poorly anyway. But I said, how are you protecting the Delta smelt by not giving it water? It's a fish. It needs water. Nobody can answer that question.
It's an incredible question, and I don't know how much it costs to protect the Delta smelt, at least not in dollars. I think we do now know what it costs in the loss to humanity. But Adam Carolla, a Southern California resident and comedian and podcaster, has pointed out he knows the cost of a few other things. He knows the cost of the damage in Los Angeles, and he knows the cost of building a pointless train.
I decided to go look and see what the estimated cost of the train line between Bakersfield and Merced was estimated to cost. $130 billion. $130 billion to either rebuild all of Malibu, Palisades, Santa Monica, Altadena, Pasadena, Agora, or you could have a 150-mile stretch of desert train going nowhere that none of us will ever ride.
And this brings me to point number two. It's a matter of priorities. Everyone has a finite capability to devote energy and attention to certain things, including your government. And if your government is spending money and time on things like this, $1 trillion to climate change spending over the past 4 years under the Biden administration, $1 billion in DEI in schools, $16 billion on Medicaid for illegal immigrants. If your government's priorities are focused on these types of ideologically driven enterprises, then they can't afford to give you the time and energy or the money to the basic minimum functions of government. And that is to answer your call when there is a crisis. And as long as we're here with our pen and paper out and taking account, Joe Rogan has paid attention to where money is going and how much it would have taken to help, say, the people of Maui.
For $5 billion, everyone could have got their home back and everything could have been settled. And no, nothing's been done. But yet we keep sending money to these other countries.
We have not forgotten about the people of Maui, nor the people of East Palestine, as today we focus on the people of North Carolina. and the people of California a few years ago, less than 2 years ago. I went to Maui. I went there several times in the wake of those fires in Lahaina. I got to see firsthand the devastation. I saw it from the air. I saw it from the water. I saw it in the burn zone. And I saw the pain in people's faces. But you know what else I saw? I saw Americans helping Americans. And I know this happened in North Carolina because I know of some very honorable private groups, including veterans, who flew helicopters into the mountains of North Carolina where the government failed. And that brings me to number 3. FEMA and the United States government can, at a minimum, not get in the way of the American spirit. In Maui, I saw people running boats from Molokai to Maui to bring supplies. I saw also them being blocked by government administrators on helping their fellow Americans. I know that private helicopters were grounded in North Carolina. I know that Americans always step up for other Americans. They can rely on one another. The question is, can they rely on their government? And can the government get out of the way of Americans helping Americans? Donald Trump is so exasperated, he's ready to revisit FEMA.
I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and, whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA. And then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area. They've never been to the area. And they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster.
Yesterday here on the Will Cain Show, I had a conversation with Jay Leno, and Jay is helping the first responders in California. He pointed out that he doesn't want to dive into the blame game, and that's honorable, and that's not his job, as he pointed out. But it is my job, and it is all of our job to hold politicians to account to ensure that they are serving Americans first. Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.